They told me straight to my face that I was nothing more than a burden to my own daughter. What kind of family says that to a man who raised her alone? The words still echoed in my head as I sat in the dim kitchen, staring at a chipped mug of coffee I hadn't touched. The morning light crawled through the blinds, cold and merciless, highlighting the empty chair across from me where Claire used to sit. She'd been gone 4 years now, but I still caught myself waiting for her laugh, waiting for her hand to brush mine across the table. My phone buzzed. I didn't need to look. I knew it wasn't from my daughter, Anna. She rarely called anymore. The screen lit up with a name that made my chest tighten. Michael, her husband, the man who had decided I wasn't fit to stand beside them. Mr. Walker, dinner tonight, 7 p.m. Lakeside Club, business casual. Don't make Anna regret inviting you. Inundation, I read it twice, each word heavier than the last. Don't make Anna regret it. As if my very presence was already a mistake. The apartment around me was silent, suffocating. The walls carried every reminder of the life I'd built with my hands, rust-stained tools by the door, paint peeling where I never found the time to fix it, and the old coat I wore to every repair job. I had spent decades fixing homes for other people, yet mine looked like it belonged to a man no one loved. I stood in front of the mirror. The reflection that stared back was a stranger. Lines carved deep across my forehead, eyes tired, shoulders bent from years of labor. My best shirt hung loose on my frame. It wasn't business casual. It was survival casual. But for Anna, I would wear it. For Anna, I would swallow my pride. I was about to knot the old tie when the phone rang again. A different voice this time. A woman. Desperate. Mr. Walker? It's Evelyn Grant. You repaired my porch steps last winter. I'm stuck on the roadside near Maple Bridge. My engine died, and I'm alone. Please, could you help me? The tie slipped from my fingers. My heart pounded. Hours before, I'd be judged by people who hated me. A stranger remembered me not as an embarrassment, but as someone she could trust. I grabbed my keys. The harbor smelled of salt and rust when I stepped outside. My boots found the same cracked pavement they had found for 20 years. I walked past the row of boats lined against the dock, each one patched together by my hands, each one carrying someone else's dreams. I had given them my strength, my time, my back. In return, I had bills stacked on the counter and silence waiting when I came home. Life had not always been like this. There were days when laughter filled my house, when Anna sat cross-legged on the living room floor and asked me to tell her one more story before bed. Claire would roll her eyes, pretending to be impatient, though she was the one who often begged me to keep talking. She had been the anchor in my storm. And when cancer took her, the storm never truly stopped. After she died, the house seemed to shrink. Every creak in the floor reminded me of the absence. Every meal tasted like cardboard without her smile across the table. I kept working. I had no other choice. My hands, rough and calloused, became my only voice. They repaired fences, patched roofs, fixed engines, anything that would keep the lights on and Anna fed. Anna grew up watching me come home, smelling of oil and sweat. She hated it, though she tried not to show it. When she went off to college, she called every week, then every other week, then once a month. I knew the distance wasn't just measured in miles. Meeting Michael sealed the gap. He came from a family where money wasn't counted, only multiplied. He wore his confidence like a tailored suit, and Anna loved him for it. I wanted to love him too, but his eyes told me the truth. He saw me as less. A man stuck in the wrong century, carrying grease under his nails and pride in the wrong things. I carried on the only way I knew. Early mornings, late nights, A paycheck stretched until it begged for mercy. I lived small. One room, one chair, one bed. But my memories were larger than life. They clung to me in the quiet, reminding me of what I once had and what I had lost. Sometimes I wondered what Anna told her new family about me. Did she say I was hardworking, loyal, or did she say nothing at all? The thought gnawed at me when I closed the shop at night and walked home under flickering street lamps. Still, I kept faith. Faith that the man who raised her would not vanish behind wealth and expectations. Faith that somewhere inside her, she still remembered the father who carried her on his shoulders, who taught her to ride a bike, who sat awake with her through storms. That faith was what held me upright when the invitation arrived. Or maybe it was not an invitation. It was a command, a test, a reminder that I was still under their judgment. 7 o'clock. Lakeside Club. Business casual. Do not embarrass her. The truth was, I lived most days embarrassed already, embarrassed by the cracks in the wall, by the worn soles of my boots, by the loneliness that never left. But for Anna, I would put the shame aside. I would walk into that room and stand tall, no matter how much they wanted me to shrink. I tied the old tie again, this time tighter. Tonight, I would be whatever father Anna needed, even if I was not the father her husband's family wanted. The call from Anna came just after noon the day before, when the sky was the color of tin and the air smelled like rain. I almost missed it. Her name flashed on the screen and my thumb shook as I answered. For a second we listened to each other breathe, like strangers waiting at opposite ends of a long hallway. "Dad," she said. "Can you hear me?" "I can hear you, honey." A soft exhale. "I would like you to come tomorrow. It matters to me. The dinner is not only family, it is the Langley Foundation Gala. My in-laws will present a new scholarship program. There will be donors, board members, people Daniel wants to impress, people I will not impress." I said, "Please do not say it like that." She whispered, "You know how they are." "I know," I said. There was a small silence. I heard a door close on her end. I pictured her standing in some bright kitchen with a marble island and a view of the lake. I pictured her turning away so no one would see her cry. She had done that as a child. She called it hiding her storm. I used to sit with her in the hallway until the thunder passed. "Dad," she said, "I need you there. Even if you just stay an hour. It would help me breathe. I am not sure I belong in that room." I said, "You belong anywhere I am," she answered. Then her voice dropped. "There will be a toast for family. They want me to thank everyone who built the life that brought me here. I cannot say those words if you are not in the room." I moved to the window. The harbor was quiet. A crane creaked as a gull landed on the arm. The water held the color of steel. I pressed my palm to the glass and felt my heart strike against it, as if it wanted to find a way out. "When is it?" I asked. 7 in the evening at the Lakeside Club," she said. "They want business casual. Please be on time. It would help. I will be there. Promise." "Dad." "Promise," I said, and I meant it. She hesitated. She is like me when it comes to hard subjects. We circle them. We check the wind. Then we step in. "There is one more thing," she said. "Mother-in-law wants the seating to be careful. She thinks it is best if you are at a side table near me. Less attention. It is not about you. It is always about me when they say it is not." I said, "I know. I am sorry. Do not be sorry for asking me to come." I said, "That will never need an apology." Another silence. The kind that hums with the things we do not say. Then, she laughed once, short and bright, like before life got heavy. Do you still have a tie that is not from the toolbox? She asked. One. I said. It is honest and a little crooked. That sounds like you, she said. And I could hear her smile. After we ended the call, I stood in the doorway and looked at my life. The pegboard with the wrenches that never stayed where I left them. The coffee tin I used as a jar for bills. The framed photo of a sunset that came with the apartment because I never replaced it. I thought about walking into a room where people decided my worth before I crossed the threshold. I thought about Anna standing at a podium, looking for me with her eyes. The way she did at school plays when she was small. I took the tie from the closet and set it on the table. I pressed the collar until the cloth lay flat. I shook the sleeves of the shirt and let the steam lift out. I counted the money in the coffee tin. Enough for gas. Enough for a small gift. I put the cash back and closed the lid. The truth was simple. I did not fear rooms. I feared the look on my daughter's face when those rooms made her choose. I feared the thin line that can snap between love and shame. I had done work that taught me how things fail. It is never one loud break. It is stress over time. An old bolt that loosens. A seal that dries. A frame that rusts from the inside where no one looks. I would not let that happen to us. Not if standing there could hold the line for one more day. I wrote down the address on a slip of paper and taped it to the door. I checked the truck. I checked the jack. I checked the spare tire and the tools. Habit is a sailor's prayer. You go over the ropes again even when the sea looks calm. That night I lay awake and replayed the sound of Anna's voice. The hope in it. The fear under it. I thought of Claire and the way she said a father's job is to show up when it is hardest. I thought of Michael and his family and the way they looked at me like I was a stain on a white shirt. I let the anger pass through me and burn out like a match. Pride can keep a man warm for a moment and then leave him in the dark. Love lasts longer. Love gets you to 7 o'clock on time. So I said yes to the room and the rules and the looks. I said yes to the promise. I would go. I would sit where they put me. I would clap at the right times. I would swallow whatever needed swallowing. If that is what it took to steady my daughter's breath while she spoke. Then it would be an easy price. I washed the shirt. I hung it by the window. I slept for 2 hours and dreamed of water and light and a bridge I could not yet see. That morning, before the phone call that would reroute my day, I stood over the kitchen table with a coffee tin and a prayer. I shook the tin. Coins rattled. A few soft bills sighed against the metal. I counted twice. It was not much, but it was honest. I slid the money into my wallet and stared at the empty tin. The sound it made when I set it down felt like an old bell with no congregation. I dressed slow. The shirt had a loose button at the cuff. I fixed it with fishing line because that was what I had. The thread caught the light like a thin wire. I pressed the collar with a tired iron until the steam ran out. My shoes were not the sort men wore at lake clubs. They were work shoes with scars. I cleaned them with a rag and a little oil. They shone in places and told the truth in others. The mirror did not lie. I am a man built by work. The lines around my eyes were a map of years at the dock. I lifted my chin and tried the tie again. It came out straighter than yesterday. It was enough. I told myself that and did not quite believe it. I took the bus to save gas. The thrift store sat between a bakery and a shuttered travel agency. Bells on the door chimed when I walked in. The air smelled like cedar and old paper. A clerk in a green apron looked up and smiled like she knew me. "Looking for anything special?" she asked. "A gift," I said. "Something simple. Kind. Not loud." She nodded and led me to a glass case. Inside were watches with scratched faces. A silver frame. A fountain pen with a dark blue barrel. And a small linen journal tied with twine. The frame felt too familiar. The watches felt like a lie. I picked up the fountain pen. It had weight. It asked to be held with care. You write? The clerk asked. I fix roofs and motors, I said. But sometimes I write my daughter letters I never send. The clerk's eyes softened. The pen had a price tag I could reach. She wrapped it in tissue and added a simple box. No ribbon. Just clean white corners and a small thanks card I could sign. On the way home, I stopped at Manny's barbershop. He had cut my hair since before Anna was born. Do the usual, I said. Short and decent. I am going to the Lakeside Club tonight. Then we will make you look like a man who belongs anywhere, he said. When he spun me toward the mirror, I saw a man who had tried. He refused full price. Buy a card, he said. I left the cash anyway. At the stationer, I bought thick paper and an envelope. I tested the pen. The ink ran smooth, steady as breath. I wrote a note in a few careful lines. For the Langley Scholarship Library. In honor of every child who needs a first line that tells them they belong. From a father who taught his daughter to read with grease on his hands. Back home, I cleaned the truck. I threw out old receipts and 2 broken tape measures. I wiped the dash and let the windows down to air out the salt and dust. I placed the box on the passenger seat and buckled it in as if it were something that could break. Gifts carry more than objects. They carry the hope that someone will see the heart behind them. I laid out the route on a paper map even though my phone could guide me. Maps do not look down on you. They just show the way. I circled the streets around the club and drew a small star by the service lot. I ate a sandwich standing at the sink and looked around the room the way a man does when he is saying a quiet goodbye. The chair in the corner wore Claire's sweater like a memory that refused to fade. I told her what I had bought. She would have approved. I took a shower and scrubbed the oil from my nails. It never all comes out. Work leaves its mark, and that is a kind of grace. When I stepped into the shirt, it felt stiffer, cleaner, closer to what their world expected. I slid the envelope with the note into my jacket pocket. I practiced the words I might say if anyone asked about the gift. I kept them short. I checked the time. I would leave early. Early leaves room for wrong turns and nerves. Early gives a man a chance to breathe before he walks into a room where breath gets tight. The phone sat quiet on the counter as I gathered my things. Keys, wallet, the small box. I pictured the side table where they planned to seat me. I pictured Anna finding me with her eyes, the way she had as a girl. I pictured raising a glass with hands that did not shake. I locked the door and stepped into the hallway. The lights hummed. Somewhere a radio played a love song. The day would be hard, but I had done the work a man could do. I reached the truck, checked the tires, then the fluids, then the spare again. Old habits, old prayers. I climbed in and rested both hands on the wheel. The sky held that pale color it gets before noon. I looked at the clock and took one last breath to steady my chest. That was when the phone began to ring. I answered on the second ring and put the phone on speaker as I pulled the truck door shut. The engine turned once, twice, then caught. Tell me where you are, I said. Maple Bridge. The woman said. Northbound lane. Just past the mile marker with the cracked 7. I pulled as far as I could onto the shoulder. But the car stalled. My name is Evelyn Grant. We met last winter. You fixed my porch steps after the ice storm. And recession. I remembered her then. A careful smile. A red scarf. I remember. Miss Grant. Sit tight. I'm 10 minutes out if the lights are kind. Way. I'm sorry to ask, she said. Her voice trembled and then steadied. Roadside assistant says 2 hours. A semi keeps honking. I don't feel safe. Way. You did the right thing calling, I said. Stay in the car. Keep the doors locked. I'll flash my hazards when I pull in behind you. Way. The sky had closed up, flat and gray. Wind skimmed the water and climbed into the cab. I passed the bait shop and the diner with the peeling pie sign. The bridge rose ahead. Stone arches, shouldering traffic like old men who refused to sit. I spotted the sedan on the shoulder with its hood up like a hand asking for help. A white SUV drifted close, then jumped back into the lane. Throwing gravel, I pulled in tight behind her, cut the engine, and left the hazards ticking their slow red heartbeat. I grabbed the orange vest from under the seat and slipped it on. Evelyn cracked the window when I tapped the glass. She looked smaller than I remembered. Silver hair. Steady eyes. "Thank you for coming," she said. All the lights came on at once. "And Jeffrey, some man." "Let me take a look," I said. "Pop the hood, please." "And Jeffrey, some man." The smell hit first. Hot coolant. Belt rubber. A faint electrical burn. I checked the belt path with my light. Ran my fingers along the tensioner. And watched the pulleys while she tried the key. The starter grunted. The engine refused. "Okay," I said. "Turn it off." "Is it bad?" she asked. "It's fixable," I said. "Your serpentine belt slipped when the idler bearing seized. That's why those warning lights flashed. I can get you running, but it may be a little loud. We'll patch it enough to reach town." She exhaled. "I'm due at an event I cannot miss, but I'd rather be late than dead." "Being alive helps at events," I said, and she smiled. I set a triangle farther back and waved a few drivers to the far lane. Some swerved without looking. One horn blared like anger could move stone. The wind tugged my vest. I worked fast. I loosened the tensioner with a breaker bar I keep behind the seat. The pulley had heat-printed a bruise on the belt, but the belt still had life. I pulled the idler. The bearing was dry, the grease gone to dust. "Bad news and good news," I said at her window. "Bearing is shot. I carry a spare. Not perfect, but it will do." "No. You carry spare bearings?" she asked, and laughed. "Of course you do. Actions or you nay. I carry things that keep people from being stranded," I said. While I worked the new idler into place, I asked where she was headed. "Across town," she said. "The Lakeside Club. A fundraiser. People I can't let down. Actions or you nay." I kept my hands steady. "You won't," I said. The wind found my wrists. My fingers went numb and then remembered. The new bearing seated with a clean click. I ran the belt. I checked alignment twice. "Try the key," I said. The engine caught, stumbled, then settled into a tired but willing hum. "That's better," she said. "It sounds like it wants to live." 48, to Haltu. "It will get you there," I said. "Keep the heater off and the radio low. If a light returns, pull over. I'll follow for a mile." 48, to Haltu. She shut the engine and opened the door. "How much do I owe you?" she asked. "Nothing," I said. "You can pay me by getting there safe." 48, to Haltu. Her eyes watered. She blinked and steadied. "At least let me cover the part." "As $15, I said. "Bought in a 3-pack. I still have 2. I smiled. "Call it a neighbor discount." As a deathry, she put the purse away and held out a card. Plain cream. Her name in soft black. No title. "If you ever need a door opened," she said, "call me. I mean that. And men a Ghana people." I slid the card into my wallet beside a photo of my girl on a carousel. "Thank you," I said. "I might call just to say hello." "As a press, you should," she said. "And please drive behind me. For the first mile. I'll breathe better." Riva. We pulled back into the stream together. The river ran dark under the arches. The belt sang a note only mechanics hear. I watched her blinker signal the turn toward town. I followed through one light. Then two. When I saw she was clear. I flashed my brights once. She tapped her brakes in reply. A small thank you in red. My phone buzzed on the seat. A message from my daughter. Running a few minutes behind. See you at 7. Love you. Dad. I looked at the clock. Helping a stranger had eaten the cushion in my plan. I could still make it if traffic played fair, and the sky kept its rain. I told myself I would be on time. I told myself I would not arrive with grease on my cuffs. I told myself many things a man tells himself when he wants his child to be proud. At the third light, Evelyn turned left toward the lake. I took the right that would carry me past the bridge and through the old part of town. The wind eased. The sky stayed gray. The day was not done with me. But I had done the kind of work that makes sense when nothing else does. I had kept a promise to a stranger and to myself. I did not know how important that would be by nightfall. She pulled into the first turnout beyond the bridge and clicked her blinker. I eased in behind and let the truck settle. The river moved slow below us. I asked her to try the engine again. It held a steady note. Good enough to travel. Not yet good enough to trust. Let me check the belt once more. I said. I opened the hood and listened. The new idler spun smooth. The belt tracked true. I pressed on the span with 2 fingers. Better. I closed the hood and leaned on the fender. She stepped out and joined me. Her coat shifted in the wind. Thank you, she said. I was on that shoulder 20 minutes and it felt like hours. A truck blew by and the mirror shook. I thought about my husband and what he would say if he could see me stuck like that. He is at the club already, I asked. He is gone, she said. 3 years now. A heart he ignored too long. He used to say, next week. Next week never came. She blinked fast. I am sorry. I did not mean to say so much. You are fine, I said. My wife died 4 years ago. Cancer. Ever since. I talk to air when the room is too quiet. Saying it to a person feels better. She nodded. I am Evelyn. But you know that. I remember you from the porch. You made the steps level and you stayed until dusk. You refused extra money. You fixed the latch because it bothered you. I told my sister there are still people who work like they mean it. Work is the only thing I never had to learn twice. I said. It is where my head goes when the heart hurts. She studied my shirt and the tie that was almost straight. Are you headed to the Lakeside Club? She asked. I am. My daughter will be on a stage, and I want to be in the room. Her husband's family want me quiet and clean and easy to miss. I can do 2 of those. Which 2? She asked. Quiet and clean until someone needs help. I said. Easy to miss is not something I accept when it comes to my child. She folded her arms with a careful respect. You raised her alone, she said. I did. From the day we lost her mother, I burned dinners and learned to braid hair by watching videos. I sat in bleachers and clapped when she came in last. I fixed her bike at midnight. I am not much in rooms with soft chairs, but I know how to show up. That matters, she said. The room tonight will look beautiful. But beauty is not kindness. I have sat at tables where no one sees the servers. I have heard men say the right words and do the wrong things. What is the event for? I asked. A fund for school libraries and for kids who need laptops and a safe place to read, she said. The name is mine, but the heart came from my sister. A teacher. We try to put books into hands and hands onto keys. I am expected to say a few words. I am better at writing checks than speeches. I touched the envelope with my note. I brought a small thing for that library. I said. A fountain pen. Not grand, I thought of the first line a child might write. Maybe it helps someone feel like they belong. Her eyes warmed. That is not small, she said. Sometimes a child needs to hold weight before they believe their words can carry weight. Do you mind if I repeat that later? I will not claim it. We stood in a quiet that did not feel empty. Cars passed. A jay called from the pines. What are you most afraid of tonight? She asked. The look on my daughter's face if they make me leave. I said, not my pride. That is old. I fear the flicker in her eyes when she feels torn. I fear making her choose between blood and comfort. I have seen how comfort wins in rooms like that. She took a breath. I cannot fix the past. But I can stand near you if the room turns cold. She said, I do not like rooms that punish kindness. You do not need to do that. I said, I know I do not need to. She said, I want to. Also, after what you did. I would like to know you arrived and left in one piece. She took out her phone. May I have your number? In case the car acts up. In case you need a friendly face. We traded numbers. She typed mine as Roadside Angel. Then shook her head and changed it to Mr. Walker. That felt like a title I had not earned. But I let it stand. She checked the time. I should go, she said. They will hold the start for a board member. But not for a donor who hates speeches. Will you get there all right? I will. I said. I need to wash my hands and find a spot far from the door. Then I will sit where they tell me. I will listen to my girl and keep my mouth shut until the night decides what it is. She opened her door and paused. If anyone makes you feel small, she said, remember this shoulder and this river and this fix. You made the road safe for a stranger. That means you belong anywhere there are people worth helping. She started the car. The engine sounded steadier. She waved through the glass. I went back to the truck and sat a moment with the key in my hand. My phone buzzed. A message from Michael. Reminder. Please be punctual. Presentation order is tight. Try not to draw attention. I set the phone face down and breathed. Then I wiped my hands, folded the vest, and pulled onto the road. Her taillights led for a while, then slipped ahead and were gone. I felt lighter. The wind came gentle through the window. I thought of a child opening a box and finding a pen that felt like it could write the future. The bridge fell behind. The town rose. The clock kept me honest. I had a place to be and a promise to keep. I drove toward both. The sun slid low as I reached the edge of the Lake District. Street lamps blinked awake, halos trembling in the dusk. My truck rattled between polished sedans and glossy SUVs that lined the winding road toward the Lakeside Club. The building appeared like something from another country. Stone walls lit by soft golden floods. Windows glowing against the water. Music drifted out. Violins over laughter. I parked 2 rows away in the lot reserved for staff and late arrivals. My truck looked like a mistake among the chrome and wax. A relic parked in a gallery. I checked my cuffs again, wiped a smear of grease I had missed, and held the gift box in both hands. The tie tugged at my throat. The envelope with my note pressed against my chest inside the jacket. I whispered Claire's name as I locked the door. The walkway stretched long, lined with lanterns. I passed couples who spoke in quiet, confident tones, their clothes sharp enough to cut. No one looked at me twice. And still I felt eyes on me. At the door, a valet with perfect hair held out a hand for my keys. I shook my head. It's old, I said. It likes me best. He blinked, then forced a smile and opened the door. The lobby smelled of wine and polished wood. Chandeliers hung heavy, crystals throwing light that seemed to find every flaw in my shirt. A hostess in black asked for my name. Walker, I said. Family of Anna Langley. She scanned the list. tapped once, and marked me with a smile that did not reach her eyes. Side dining hall. Table, she said, and gestured down a carpeted corridor. The main hall roared with applause as someone finished a speech. I slipped in through a smaller door at the side. Round tables gleamed with white cloths and silver cutlery. At the front, a dais stood beneath a banner of the Langley Foundation. I spotted Anna near the stage, radiant in a navy dress, her hair tied back the way her mother once wore it. She looked across the crowd. Our eyes met. Her face lit up, if only for a second. Then she glanced nervously toward her husband. Michael stood tall beside his parents. His suit looked painted on, his smile polished, his hand firm on Anna's back. His father adjusted his cufflinks while speaking to another guest. His mother's laughter was sharp, brittle as glass. I felt their gaze sweep over me like a broom gathering dust. I made my way to the side table. My chair sat slightly apart, near the service door. A place easy to overlook, a place for someone who belonged but should not be seen. I set the gift box on the table, laid the envelope beside it, and folded my hands. A server filled my glass with water and moved on without a word. Around me, conversations flowed about stocks, travel, and new construction on the East Shore. No one asked me anything. I sipped, listened, and waited. The master of ceremonies called for the family to rise. Michael's parents walked forward with ease, waving like royalty. Anna followed, smiling through the wait. I stayed seated as instructed. The applause rolled. The speeches began. They spoke of opportunity, generosity, legacy, words that felt polished and hollow. Then Anna stepped to the podium. She scanned the crowd again. When her eyes found me, they softened. She lifted her voice. And I want to thank my father, who taught me that love is measured by presence, not by comfort. It very unso. The room shifted. A murmur ran along the tables. Michael stiffened. His parents froze. And all at once every head turned toward me. My shirt felt tighter, my shoes heavier. I straightened anyway. For a moment, pride burned brighter than the chandeliers. But then Michael's mother leaned close to her husband and whispered something sharp. His jaw tightened. His eyes found me and did not leave. The applause thinned, polite and strained. I sat in the middle of it all, clutching my glass, knowing the storm was only beginning. The applause faded into napkins and whispers. The host thanked the board and the chefs. Music rose again. I exhaled once and then saw Michael leave the stage. He crossed the floor with a smile that did not change. He leaned to my ear. "Thank you for coming," he said. "We need to manage optics for press photos. There is a lounge down the hall, more comfortable for you. You will still see everything." I kept my palms on the cloth. I came to hear my daughter. I said, "I will be quiet. Please do not make this hard," he said. "The tie, the boots. My father is anxious. We cannot risk a misstep." Before I could answer, his mother appeared. Lorraine Langley. Perfume first. Then the practiced eyes. "Mr. Walker," she said. "Club policy asks that guests in work attire remain off the main floor during photography. We are grateful you are here. The lounge will be lovely. Work attire," I said. "This shirt is clean." Her gaze dipped to my shoes. "It is not personal," she said. "It is best for the evening." Gregory Langley joined them, cufflinks bright. "The publicist is nervous," he said. "We must control the room." I understood. They wanted a picture with no edges. I stood. The chair whispered on the carpet. "May I send a gift to the foundation table?" I asked. "For the library fund." Lorraine nodded to a server. "Thank you for your thoughtfulness," she said. Her eyes did not change. Michael's hand touched the back of my chair. Gentle and firm at once. "If you care about Anna," he whispered, "do not make a scene. Walk with me." We moved into the corridor. Air cooler. Lemon polish. Old portraits on the wall. He faced me there. The smile gone. "I asked you to be on time," he said. "I asked you not to draw attention. You chose boots. Do you want them to laugh at her?" "Business casual," was your text. I said, "I am clean. I am quiet. I am here." "You do not understand these rooms," he said. "They punish the wrong story in the wrong seat. If you love her, help me protect the story." "And the story is what?" I asked. "That she married well," he said. "That her family fits the path she chose. Nothing for donors to doubt." The door opened and Anna stepped into the corridor. She saw us and came fast. "What is this?" she asked. Her eyes fell to the box and the envelope. "Are you leaving?" "Helping your father find the lounge," Michael said. "Quieter there. Better view of the screens." Anna looked at me. "Dad, do you want that?" I wanted the chair near hers. I wanted the choice. "I am fine where I can hear you," I said. She turned to Michael. "He will sit with me after photos," she said. "That is final." Gregory and Lorraine appeared then. Pulled by delay. "Please," Lorraine said. "Do not complicate this. We are keeping the evening smooth. He is my father," Anna said. Gregory's voice was flat. "And I am signing tonight's checks," he said. "We will not risk a headline about optics." A publicist in a silver headset poked out. "Family shot in 2 minutes," she said. "Core group first. Spoozes second." She glanced at my shirt, offered a small sorry smile, and vanished. Michael lifted his hand. "The lounge is this way," he said. "Leather chairs. A screen with the program. You will miss nothing important." "Nothing important," I said. I looked at Anna. Her lashes were wet. Her chin lifted the way it did when she fell and refused to cry. "Please wait," she said. "We will sit together after." "Promise." I nodded. Love makes yes easy and hard at once. Michael led me past photographs of men with oars and silver cups. The lounge opened in dark wood and soft lamps. A television showed the stage with no sound. 2 guests scrolled their phones. A server arranged fruit like small sculptures. "Thank you," Michael said. "We will come for you when it is time." He left. The door sighed. On the screen, I watched them line up. Flash. 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 I held my girl in my eyes anyway. I thought of the pen in its white box and of a child who might hold it one day. A young server brought water. "Sir," he said quietly. "My father cleans offices at night. He would wear boots too. I am sorry for this." "It is not on you," I said. "Thank you." He left me with the hush of vents and the slow tick of an upstairs clock. On the screen, the publicist reset the line, then cut to the podium. The banner filled the frame. The quartet stilled. The host lifted a hand. "Please welcome our honored guest," he mouthed. Heads turned toward the entry. People rose. A hush moved across the room like a wave. I moved to the lounge doorway so I could see the hall with my own eyes. The doors swung wide. Light bled from the foyer. A shape came in, steady and sure. The crowd leaned without meaning to. Lorraine adjusted her necklace. Gregory smoothed his jacket. Michael checked his tie in the reflection of a frame. Anna stood very still, palms flat at her sides. I could not see the face yet. Only the way the room made space for whoever had arrived. Only the way silence gathered like breath before a first word. I did not know that the voice I would hear next belonged to the woman I had met on a cold shoulder of road by the river. I did not know. but I was already standing a little taller. The crowd parted as if a tide had shifted. A murmur rippled across the tables. Then she stepped fully into the light. Evelyn Grant, the same woman whose car I had bent over in the wind just hours before. Her hair caught the glow. Silver bright. Her navy coat sharp against the marble entry. She carried herself with ease. The kind of ease born from years of being the center without having to demand it. I froze in the lounge doorway. My breath caught, my hand gripping the frame. The servers paused with trays midair. Donors craned their necks. The quartet lifted their bows, but did not play. Evelyn nodded once to the host, then let her eyes travel the room. When they found me standing in the shadow of the side door, her face softened into the kind of smile people save for old friends. "Mr. Walker," she said, her voice carrying over the hushed hall. "What a surprise to see you here. Then everything that made you life." 100 eyes turned with hers. My name, plain and unpolished, hung heavy against the crystal and silk. Anna's lips parted, her gaze darting between us. Michael stiffened. His parents exchanged sharp glances, confusion flickering into dread. Evelyn stepped forward, heels striking the floor with calm authority. She moved past the front tables, her presence bending the air. She reached me and extended her hand as though I belonged at the very center of this gathering. "I hoped I would see you again," she said. I managed a nod. "Your car made it," I said quietly. "It did. Thanks to you." She turned back to the crowd, her tone bright. "This man saved me from being stranded today. He gave 2 hours of his time, his tools, his patience refusing any payment. Without him, I would not be standing here tonight. Thank you for watching." The words cracked the air. Conversations stopped altogether. A few guests shifted in their seats, discomfort plain on their faces. Gregory Langley coughed into his fist, searching for control. Lorraine pressed her smile thin, trying to measure the damage. Evelyn was not done. "I've sat in many rooms like this," she continued. "Rooms filled with wealth and polish. But rarely do I encounter character so steady, so genuine. You should know that while you were toasting opportunity, this man was on the roadside, dirt under his nails, making sure a stranger reached home safe. Very will to be friends." The silence deepened. Not awkward but heavy, like judgment waiting. Anna's hands trembled as they clutched the edge of her tablecloth. Her eyes brimmed, pride and relief mixing. Michael stepped forward, his voice taut. "Mrs. Grant, we didn't realize you knew my friend." Evelyn interrupted smoothly. "Yes, I know him, and I value his friendship more than most titles I've been given." She faced me again. "Will you sit with me tonight?" Gasps fluttered around the room. The master of ceremonies nearly dropped his cards. Gregory half rose, then sank back when Evelyn's gaze brushed him. Lorraine's painted nails tapped the stem of her glass. A rhythm of panic. I swallowed hard. The lounge felt far behind me now. Every eye waited. I looked at Anna. She gave the smallest nod, a tear slipping free. "I would be honored," I said. My voice carried more strength than I felt. Evelyn looped her arm gently through mine. Together we walked to the center table. The crowd parted again. But this time, the air felt different, expectant. We sat. Me. The man they tried to hide. Her. The woman they could not ignore. The meal had not yet begun. But already the night was changing. I could feel it in the way whispers rose like wind through leaves. In the way Michael's jaw clenched. In the way Anna's shoulders eased just enough to let her breathe. What none of them yet realized was how much power Evelyn carried into this hall, and how quickly their world would tilt when she chose where to place it. Evelyn placed her napkin on the table and rose. She did not tap the glass. She did not ask permission. The room obeyed her anyway. I felt every head turn. Anna watched from beside the podium, hands folded tight at her waist. "Thank you for welcoming me," Evelyn said. "I came tonight to help expand the library fund. That was my plan when I left my driveway." Then a belt failed on the bridge. A stranger stopped. He worked in the wind. He kept me safe. He refused payment. He told me to drive on. A low stir moved through the hall. She let it fade. "I have sat in many rooms like this," she said. "I have given money. And I have taken meetings. I have learned to listen to the small things. How people treat those they do not need. How they speak to someone who cannot do them harm. Those small things tell me the truth." Gregory rose halfway. "Mrs. Grant, we are honored. Perhaps this can wait until after dinner." "It cannot," she said, "because the room has already answered me. I asked the hostess where Mr. Walker was seated. I was told he might be more comfortable elsewhere. I was told the word optics 3 times. I watched a good man guided toward a door. No one moved." She let the quiet work. "There is a story in the program about opening doors for children," Evelyn said. "Doors into books. Doors into futures. I love that story. But a door means nothing if the people behind it forget why it is open. Tonight I saw a door close on a father. It did not slam. It clicked. Soft. Neat. Polite. That click is how most hearts are turned away." Lorraine's voice was soft and controlled. "You misunderstand, Mrs. Grant. We only wanted to manage the evening." Evelyn nodded once. "I understand management. I also understand kindness. One cost you nothing. One would have changed the air." She looked at me and then at Anna. "Earlier I promised myself I would speak plainly. So I will." She turned to the crowd. 3 months ago, Gregory asked my firm to consider a large pledge. He proposed a naming right on the new wing if we matched their expansion gift. We did our homework. The numbers look fine. The project could work. But my decisions do not end at numbers. They end at people. "I watched a father told to be less visible," she said. "I watched a daughter swallow her breath. I cannot add my name to a room that cannot make space for a man who helped a stranger reach this very floor." Michael stepped forward. "Mrs. Grant, with respect, we value Mr. Walker. We only hoped to prevent distraction during photographs. We meant no slight. I appreciate the words," she said. "But I measure actions. And I measure what happened when you thought no one important was watching." She paused. When she spoke again, her voice was warm and final. "My pledge will not go to a hall that dims any person to brighten a picture. I will direct it to neighborhood branches, to reading rooms where boots and ties sit side by side, to computers in schools that do not ask a child for the right last name. The amount will be larger than planned. It will happen without a gala." The air thinned. A few guests clapped, unsure, then stopped. Gregory's mouth tightened. Lorraine stared at the centerpiece. Evelyn turned back to the dais. "And one more thing," she said. "I will fund 10 community fellowships in honor of unseen parents. They will carry one sentence as a promise. Presence is the first gift. Tonight I saw presence. It was asked to stand aside. It did not. My throat burned. I held the edge of my chair to keep from dropping my face in my hands. Anna lifted a hand toward Evelyn. "Thank you," she said. Her voice shook. "Thank you for seeing my father." Evelyn met her eyes. He made it easy to see. The host cleared his throat and asked if we could continue with the program. Evelyn smiled and sat down beside me. The room stayed tilted. Gregory moved to the podium. He tried to thank donors and to name committees. The words sounded thin in the new air. Lorraine whispered to a publicist. Michael stared at the silverware as if the fork might tell him what to do. Evelyn leaned toward me. You did not need me to speak, she said. But I wanted them to hear what I heard on that shoulder. I wanted them to know what I know. What do you know? I asked. That money follows character when I carry the checkbook, she said. And that you kept me safe. She set her hand on the table. Eat something. Your hands are shaking. I laughed once. Short and raw. They will stare. Let them, she said. You have earned the seat. A server set down plates with careful hands. He glanced at me and then at Evelyn. His eyes brightened. He whispered thank you as if he were not sure where to aim it. Evelyn raised her water. To clear roads, she said. To people who stop when others drive by. I lifted my glass. To getting there, I said. From the side of the room came a soft sound. A woman at a far table was crying. She wiped her face and did not care who saw. The quartet began to play. The melody was slow and simple. I let it move through me and wash the tightness out of my chest. The night had turned. It would cost the Langleys. It might cost Anna later. But for the first time since Claire died, I felt something like steady joy. Not triumph. Not revenge. Something cleaner. The sense that right things had found their shape out loud. I looked at my daughter. Her shoulders had dropped. She was breathing. That was enough for now. It was more than enough. Dinner stumbled forward as though nothing had happened. But the current in the room was changed. Guests lifted forks. Knives clinked. Wine was poured. Yet conversations carried a sharp edge. Whispers ran in circles. Glances darted like moths. The Langleys smiled too widely. Their cheeks stiff from the strain. I ate little. Each bite turned heavy in my throat. Evelyn spoke easily beside me, asking questions of donors, praising students at the scholarship table. People leaned in toward her, desperate to be near the warmth she carried. When they looked at me, their eyes flickered with a mix of curiosity and guilt. A few nodded, tentative acknowledgments that I existed. Gregory raised a toast. His voice cracked around the edges. To generosity, to vision, to family. He lifted his glass high. The applause was sparse, uneven. Evelyn set her glass down untouched. After dessert, guests began to drift away. Their goodbyes polite but hurried. Everyone wanted to be seen leaving correctly. Everyone wanted to measure which way the story might spread by morning. I followed Evelyn to the foyer. Anna caught me there. She threw her arms around my shoulders, her tears damp against my collar. Dad, she whispered. I was so scared. I thought you'd walk out. He was no one. I almost did. I admitted, but I promised. Oh, Michael hovered a step away, jaw tight, his eyes flashing with the weight of reputation. You've made this difficult, Mr. Walker, he said quietly. Evelyn turned her head, her voice calm but sharp. No. He made it honest. You should try it. Oh. Michael looked away first. Lorraine fussed with her necklace, pretending not to hear. Gregory barked something at a valet, anger spilling where he still had control. Outside, cool air wrapped around me. The night smelled of lake water and pine. Cars lined up for the valet stand, headlights sweeping across the brick. Guests lowered their voices when they passed. Some offered me cautious smiles, as though hoping to erase their silence from earlier. Anna held my hand tight. I'm sorry, she said again. They'll blame you. They'll blame me. Aid. They'll do what they do. I said. You don't carry their weight. Aid. Her voice broke. I should have defended you harder. Aid. You don't need to. I told her. You just need to live in truth. That's enough for me. It is not all we're doing. 9. Evelyn touched my arm. Come. Let's step away from the headlights. She led us toward the far end of the drive, where shadows softened the noise. She looked at Anna with steady eyes. Your father stood taller tonight than any speech could have managed. Remember that when their anger comes, he didn't shame you. He gave you a shield. It is not all we're doing, nine. Anna nodded, wiping her eyes. She kissed my cheek, then returned reluctantly to her husband, whose face was carved from stone. I watched them disappear into the crowd, her hand slipping into his, her posture caught between love and duty. The valet brought my truck around. It rattled into place between gleaming imports, its paint dull but honest. The contrast was almost comical. I slipped the box with the fountain pen back onto the seat. It had not reached the table, but maybe it would still reach the right hands. Evelyn walked with me to the driver's side. They'll talk for weeks, she said. Let them. You'll go home tonight knowing you were exactly who you promised to be. That will too in battles. I don't know what comes next for Anna, I admitted. She'll have to choose how much truth she can live with, Evelyn said. But she has you. That's more than most. That will too in battles. I gripped the wheel, staring out at the dark lake. For once, shame wasn't what I carried. It was something lighter, steadier. Not victory, not revenge, just dignity. Earned the hard way. The Langleys' voices echoed behind us. Sharp commands to staff. Brittle laughter for lingering guests. I let it all fall away. Tonight had cracked their walls, even if they pretended otherwise. Money could not seal what character had exposed. I glanced at Evelyn. She gave me a small smile. Hungry? She asked. I laughed once. The sound rough but real. Starving. To miss. Then let's find a place that doesn't measure you by your shoes. I nodded, turned the key, and felt the old engine rumble. For the first time in years, the sound felt like music. Evelyn guided me to a diner with a blue neon sign and a bell on the door. The kind of place where coffee comes hot and pies sit under glass. A kid wiped the counter and nodded when we took a booth by the window. The lake was a black sheet outside. Streetlights, drawing ropes of light on the water. We did not start with the gala. We started with food. She ordered soup. I ordered breakfast. The waitress wrote it down without judgment. When the coffee arrived, it smelled like mornings from years that felt kinder. You looked like a man who needed bread, Evelyn said. I needed a room that did not measure me. I said, thank you for finding one. She stirred her soup and watched the steam lift. I did not do anything brave, she said. I said the truth out loud. You did the hard part. You kept showing up. I let myself breathe. The booth held us like a small harbor. In the kitchen, a radio played an old song. It made me think of Claire. I told Evelyn that. I told her how grief taught me to fix what I could reach and leave the rest to time. She listened the way good people listen, with her eyes and with her quiet. Then she told me about her husband, how he ran too hard for too long, how money lets you ignore warning lights until it is too late. We sat with that and did not flinch. I set the gift box on the table. It looked small between the salt and the sugar. I bought this for the foundation, I said. It never made it to the stage. May I see? She asked. I opened the lid. The fountain pen rested in tissue like a patient bird. I showed her the card with the line I had written for the library. She read it twice and handed it back as if it mattered. This should not be given to a room that wanted you small, she said. It should be given into a hand that needs a first line. Do you trust me? I do, I said. Then come Saturday, she said. Neighborhood branch on Ash Street. We are opening a reading room in the basement. Old paint. Thin carpet. Good morning light. Children will fill it the way water finds a low place. Bring the pen. We will put it into the right hand together. I nodded and felt a knot loosen in my chest. It was the knot that forms when you almost lose something that matters and then you do not. The plates came. The eggs were simple and perfect. The soup was hot. We ate without rushing. We talked about work, about the quiet pleasure of fixing a thing that had looked finished and saying not yet. We talked about students who will touch a keyboard without fear because someone left a door unguarded. The kid from the counter refilled our coffee. He glanced at the tie I had loosened. Then, at my hands. He saw the skin that will never be clean. He said, "My dad works nights, like yours. He wants me to finish school." I told him I would want that too. Evelyn paid and left a tip that made the waitress blink. At the door, she pressed a card into my palm. A card with a handwritten number. "Call me if you need anything," she said. "Call me if you do not. I keep strange hours." I answer. Outside, the neon hummed. The truck looked less out of place than it had under the chandeliers. She walked me to the driver door and waited while I climbed in. "Before you go," she said, "one more ask. Come Saturday not as a guest. Come as the first mentor. Tell the kids what your hands know. Show them how to look at a broken thing and not look away. Can you do that?" I felt foolish for how fast I said yes. She smiled and tapped the window. "See you then. Drive safe." The road home was empty and kind. I rolled the window down and let the cold clean the last of the night from my lungs. When I reached the building, I did not rush the stairs. I carried the diner light with me like a small lantern. Inside, the apartment did not feel hollow. Claire's sweater hung on the chair the way it always did. But it looked less like a ghost and more like a story that still belongs on the shelf. I set the pen box on the table and wrote to Anna. I told her I was proud of the woman she is. I told her I would never ask her to stand between love and comfort. I told her that if she left a door open for me, I would walk through. And if she did not, I would wait by the step until she felt safe to do it herself. The message went green and then blue and then quiet. I washed a cup. I let the window rest open an inch. The lake air moved the curtain and the room looked alive. Just past midnight, my phone buzzed. It was Anna. Her words were simple and exact. "Dad, I am sorry it took a stranger to say what I should have said first. I am proud of you. I love you. Breakfast tomorrow." I read the line again and felt my knees go loose with relief. Yes. I typed, "Anywhere that pours coffee without asking what shoes I wear." I slept a kind sleep. The kind that comes when a man runs out of ways to lie to himself. And when morning came, I knew where the next line of my life would be written, and whose hand should hold the pen first.